Hello ladies and gentlemen, and happy Tuesday. Today is January 5th, and today we are going to continue to build off of the skills and the vocabulary words we learned yesterday. And today we're going to be actually reading articles with multiple categories of information. Yesterday our article was about YouTube, and it was just about one category of information. And so today we're going to look at an article that has multiple categories. So let's talk about what you're going to need for today's lesson. So today you're going to need your highlighters just like yesterday. Yesterday we used orange, pink, blue, and yellow. And again, it's important that if you don't have these colored highlighters, that's okay. You could find crayons that were this color or colored pencils. What's most important is that you have the right colors. And it's because I want you to be able to visually see in your notes and the way that we're color coding things based off of the color, you're going to know what type of sentence or what that is in our informational articles. And today we're actually not going to be using the blue, so you can put the blue aside, but we are going to be using green. So today the four colors that you're going to need are orange, pink, green, and yellow. You're also going to need a pair of scissors and your glue stick. So if you need to pause me now to go get those things, you can pause me, you can go get those things. The last thing that you're going to need is your, mine's an orange folder, but your ELA folder. You're going to need your folder with your packet inside. Now, as I take out my packet now looks like this. It has this sheet on the top. It says main idea, multiple choice. This is actually not the sheet we're going to do today. This is a quiz that you guys are going to take later in the week. So for now, I can take this top sheet off and set it aside. And now my packet looks like this. And at the top it says transitional sentence. And you can see that there is an article right here. This is the page we're going to need for today. So I'm going to take this page out. Okay, I'm going to take the quiz that we're going to do later in the week. I'm going to put it right back on top. Paper clip this all back together. All right, and now my packet can go back in my ELA folder. I can set my folder aside, and now I have my sheet here. Okay, if you need to pause me at any time, please go ahead, pause the video, get those things that you need, and then come on back and you can continue. So at any time, please feel free to pause me and to catch up. So some of the things that I do in the video might be quicker than when we do them as a whole group. So again, just make sure that you are pausing me as needed so that you can do your portion in your notebook. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut these two things out. We're actually going to build our notebook page first today, and then we're going to dive into looking at this article. So with my scissors, I'm going to cut out both of these pieces. I'm going to cut out the article, and I'm going to cut out the transitional sentences. When you're done cutting them out, you should have these two pieces. Now, before we jump into making the new notebook page, I always like to review. And yesterday, we learned these four new vocabulary terms. Whenever we're reading informational articles, we always think about these four terms. Today, we're going to add a fifth one. But those were topic, we learned, was the subject of the article. And in this case, it was YouTube. We have the topic sentence, which usually occurs somewhere near the front of the article, the beginning of the article. It often will contain the topic word, which again was YouTube, and it tells you what the article is about. In this case, this article was about how YouTube revolutionized or changed the way people access their entertainment. So that's what this article was all about. And that's in our topic sentence. We learned that the supporting details are the pieces of information that help support the topic sentence. And the main idea we learned was that it is a thought out of our head. We look back at the topic sentence And this way, we can turn that into our own words so we can answer the question in your own words, what is this article about? And so you're able to get the main idea. And we were able to see that this article, when I look at all the sentences and combine them, what is it mainly about? The main idea is that YouTube completely changed the way we access entertainment. And so we learned these 4 terms for the way that we speak about reading an informational article. Well, today we're going to set up the next notebook page, and we're going to be looking at taking it up a notch, because today this article doesn't have just one category of information. It has 3 categories of information. Unlike the YouTube article, which all of the supporting details, all 4 of them, were all about this one topic. Today, we are going to see an article with multiple categories. So, in your notebook, you're going to turn your notebook to the next page, and we're going to date and title our notebook. Today is January 5th. It is page 28. And the title is Articles with Multiple Categories. So I'm going to glue my article in here, and then I'm also going to glue my transitional sentence tab, and I'm going to glue it just along the left-hand side so that we can open this tab up. Pause me now so you can take a minute, and you guys can set up your notebook page. When you're done setting up your notebook page, unpause me and we'll continue. Okay, now that your notebook page is all set up, the first thing we want to do is we want to color code transitional sentence, and you can see I did this with my green. I use green because green means go whenever I think about green from driving a car. And so green with a transitional sentence, it really means when we're going on from one topic to the next. So a transitional sentence does this. Blow that up nice and big. Okay. Transitional sentences move the reader from one topic to another. You're going to see today when we read our topic sentence that our topic sentence will show that this article is talking about 3 different pieces of or categories of information. And so the green is a transitional sentence, and this is the sentence that helps us move from one category or one topic to another. Now, as I read the article at home, you should think about what is the topic of this article and what do I think is the topic sentence. So I will read it out loud, and as I do, you can follow along and think, what is this article about? What is the topic? Hurricane Katrina was the costliest and deadliest natural disaster in recent United States history. This monster of a hurricane formed over the Bahamas in August of 2005 and crossed over Florida as a Category 1 hurricane. Katrina then entered the Gulf of Mexico, where it strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane, before making landfall in southeast Louisiana on August 29, 2005. Katrina weakened to a Category 3 hurricane. As Katrina made landfall, it caused billions of dollars in property damages all along the Gulf Coast, from Texas to Florida. The majority of the damage to New Orleans, Louisiana, was caused by the storm surge, toppling levees and flooding a large portion of the city of New Orleans and surrounding areas. The U.S. government estimated the total cost of Hurricane Katrina to be around $108 billion. But the real cost of this hurricane came in the form of lives lost. Katrina caused the deaths of 1,836 people. 1,577 of those deaths came from Louisiana, 238 from Mississippi, and the remaining from Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Ohio. It is estimated that at least 1,000 deaths resulted from citizens ignoring evacuation warnings and staying in their homes during the storm. Okay, so now that I've read the article, we should ask ourselves, what is the topic? And hopefully you guys picked up the topic is Hurricane Katrina. So what I would want you to do is take out your yellow highlighter, and wherever you see the words Hurricane Katrina or Katrina, I would like you to highlight it yellow. You should find 6 of them. Very good. So right here you can see I found all 6 of my topic words. And we even have reference to it 2 other spots here where it says this monster of a hurricane. Well, it doesn't name Hurricane Katrina by name. It is a reference to Hurricane Katrina, just like it does down here where it says this hurricane. We're not talking about hurricanes in general. We're not talking about all hurricanes. We are talking about one specific hurricane. This article is about Hurricane Katrina. Now, you should ask yourself right after you have the topic down, what is the topic sentence? The topic sentence is the sentence that tells you what this article is mostly about. So here I have my pink. And yesterday I told you a couple good places to start looking is look for sentences that include the topic. So if our topic is hurricane or Hurricane Katrina, look for sentences that have Katrina in them. And also, usually our topic sentence will be somewhere near the beginning of the article. The author does not leave the topic sentence until the middle or the end. It will most often be somewhere near the beginning. So we have the first sentence that starts off with Hurricane Katrina. And if we look at this sentence, it says, Hurricane Katrina was the costliest and deadliest natural disaster in recent United States history. And as I think about what I just read, I know that there were sections here in the middle where it talks about how much money it cost. It cost $108 billion, so there's costly. And here it finishes off where they're talking about all these people that died. It was deadly. You know, this is a really good candidate. Very often, the topic sentence will be the very first sentence like it is in this article. And here we learn that this article, it's about Hurricane Katrina. That's our topic. What is it saying about Hurricane Katrina? This article is saying that it was the costliest and it was the deadliest natural disaster in recent United States history. So all of our sentences in this article should all be about Hurricane Katrina and how it was costly and deadly. Yesterday, we learned and we saw that our topic sentence is not always the first sentence. Here, our topic sentence was the third sentence. And our topic sentence, before it, the author gives us an intro and some background information because this article was about YouTube and how it changed entertainment. So here, we almost don't have 2 categories. We have a background information category where the author is giving us a couple sentences about how we used to access entertainment. And then here he's giving us 4 about how we now access entertainment because of YouTube. Okay, so topic sentence will not always be the first, but it will usually be near the beginning, and it will usually contain the topic word. So from here, I'm going to guide you guys through this. Every sentence from here is either going to be a supporting detail, one of these new things called a transitional sentence. Okay? So let's look at this. Hurricane Katrina. We're going to have 3 categories of information. One is going to be a description of this Hurricane Katrina and what it was. Another category is going to be a category about how this was costly. And another category for how it was going to be deadly. And we can see in my notebook, I've already set this up. And I've already labeled them because you're going to see as I read these. This first category is a category for physical description, where they physically describe the storm. Then our category is going to be costly, and then the last category is how deadly it was. So as I read this, I see it says, this monster of a hurricane formed over the Bahamas in August of 2005 and crossed over Florida as a Category 1 hurricane. This sentence is a detail about what Hurricane Katrina is. So I would highlight this sentence orange. And I would label it 1 because this is my first detail giving me a physical description of the hurricane. Katrina then entered the Gulf of Mexico where it strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane. Again, this is another physical description. Hurricanes are storms, so it is physically describing this storm, where it formed, how it grew to a Category 5, where it was. It's physically describing this storm. Before making landfall, so this was the second detail, before making landfall in southeast Louisiana on August 29th, 2005, Katrina weakened to a Category 3 hurricane. Again, this is a physical description of the hurricane, physically describing the date and when it changed from a Category 5 to a Category 3. Now, listen to this next sentence. As Katrina made landfall, it caused billions of dollars in property damage all along the Gulf Coast from Texas to Florida. This is a transitional sentence. We're no longer physically describing it. We are transitioning to a new category. We're going from physically describing Katrina to describing how costly it was. So we're going to highlight this sentence green. We are transitioning from one category of information to a new category of information. So now this next category, all of our sentences should be about how costly this storm was. And so now we're looking for supporting details for costly. So again, we have our orange highlighter. The majority of the damage to New Orleans, Louisiana was caused by the storm surge, toppling levees and flooding a large portion of the city of New Orleans and surrounding areas. This is a supporting detail. It's telling us why it cost so much. Because the storm surge went over the levees and the city flooded. And that is why there was so much damage. That's why it cost so much. Okay, this is our first detail of this new category. So I'm going to give it a number 1. All right, and you can see we have one category of information. Now we're getting a second category. So we're renumbering these details. We have 3 details for the physical description. Okay, here we're going to get a second detail for how costly it was. The U.S. government estimated the total cost of Hurricane Katrina to be around $108 billion. That gives us an actual number, a dollar amount. So this is definitely a supporting detail for how costly it was. Okay, this next sentence, let's see. Is this another supporting detail for how costly it was? Or are we transitioning on to our last category, which should be about how deadly it was? But the real cost of this hurricane came in the form of lives lost. All right, here again we see we're no longer talking about the cost. We're transitioning to the lives lost, which is how deadly it was. Just to make sure, let's read the next sentence. Katrina caused the death of 1,836 people. Okay, that's definitely a supporting detail. So, this sentence right here, this is our transitional sentence, where we are transitioning from the hurricane being costly to the hurricane being deadly. And here we have our first detail. Katrina caused the deaths of 1,836 people. 1,577 of those deaths came from Louisiana, 238 from Mississippi, and the remaining from Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Ohio. This is supporting detail number 2. It is estimated that at least 1,000 deaths resulted from citizens ignoring evacuation warnings and staying in their homes during the storm. Here's another supporting detail. This is a third one. So we have 3 sentences which give us supporting details for how deadly this storm was. When you're done, your notebook page will look like this. And see, you would normally never highlight an article like this. If you were reading an article for science or social studies, you would not highlight in this way, because what we're doing is not highlighting. We're actually color coding. So you can see how this article is laid out. We see we have a topic sentence, and the topic sentence in it, it shows us that we're going to have some information about what Hurricane Katrina is, how it was costly, how it was deadly. So we see right there where we have 3 categories. And because we color-coded it, we can see those categories in orange. And we know that green is a transitional sentence. So we know that that's what's happening in between each one of these categories, is we're transitioning. So here, the categories, we can break this article up into a physical description of the storm, and then we transition from physical description into how costly the storm was. We have 3 supporting details for its physical description, 2 supporting details for how costly it was, and then last we have another transitional sentence. So with 3 categories, we have 2 transitional sentences, and we transition and we finish with how the storm was deadly. Remember, I'm not trying to teach you guys about YouTube and about Hurricane Katrina. What the goal is for us to model for you guys the kinds of vocabulary that we're going to be using when we think about informational articles, and how informational articles are put together using the knowledge of these terms of topic, topic sentence, main idea, details, and now transitional sentences. Tomorrow I will be on for support, and on Thursday we will be using this article, and we're actually going to be look at how we can outline an informational article, and then ultimately on Friday of this week we're going to be writing a summary of this article about Hurricane Katrina. And so we're going to be learning how do we write a good, strong summary of an informational article. So I will see you guys here on Thursday. Enjoy the day, enjoy your afternoon, and stay safe out there.